Good evening, everyone. I'm Lissy Bastien. It's Thursday, March 26th. Thanks for staying with us. The reality is countries the world over are at war with COVID-19 that's wreaking havoc in at least 197 countries, areas, or territories. 495,086 total confirmed cases globally, 22,295 deaths, and 119,978 having recovered from coronavirus, according to the Johns Hopkins University and Medicine Coronavirus Center. Of that number, 5 are Bahamians who have been confirmed with the virus, with the initial COVID-19 patient being discharged from hospital on Tuesday, according to Health Minister Dr. Dwayne Sands. Now, the uncertainty of this virus has led governments globally to implement measures to protect its citizens and residents. The government of the Bahamas has done no less, making tough decisions when it comes to affairs of the country's well-being, health, and wealth. With emergency orders guided by the need to keep Bahamians and residents safe and healthy, the tourism sector has come to a screeching halt, leaving many in that sector unemployed. Businesses have put much of their staff on days' work, with many closing their doors. Well, Trade Union Congress President Obie Ferguson says this all could have been avoided if past administrations had listened to union leaders' recommendations. Our Laurentia Smith has more on this story.
Trade Union of Congress TUC President Obie Ferguson is weighing in on the global pandemic, COVID-19, that is seeing businesses throughout the country close their doors and employees sent home. And while Mr. Ferguson says he gives the government high marks for the decisions that they are making from a medical viewpoint to protect the health and the well-being of Bahamians and residents, he gives the government poor marks when it comes to financial decisions being made with regards to the large number of persons who are now unemployed due to COVID-19 crisis that is impacting the world. Mr. Ferguson says in the past he has made recommendations to several administrations to put in place a redundancy fund plan for such crisis.
We have not been successful in convincing neither government to introduce it. But we now hope that the government will see fit and appreciate the point that we've made and we are making, that there are crises and these crises will occur at different phases, at different stages, and that is creating a problem.
Ferguson says if a person is employed by a private company, that company isn't legally responsible to pay that employee to stay at home. He added that if any government had listened to the unions, that they would have been in a better place today. And now he posed the question of who will pay these workers if this crisis lasts beyond 3 months.
The medical part of what they're doing in the interest of our country, I find it difficult that the financial side of it could have been, had they listened to what the unions were saying, they would have been better off today. Because now, as I'm saying, if this goes for 3 months or 4 months or a longer period, who's going to pay for these workers who are required to stay home?
Now, in the House of Assembly last Wednesday, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance Peter Turnquist said unemployed persons, those who lost their jobs because of this crisis, may apply to the National Insurance Board for unemployment benefits up to 13 weeks. For this, the TUC president praised the government for the protocols put in place for the country's health. Additionally, Mr. Ferguson said that he and other union presidents are in conversations about the way forward for their members during this crisis. I'm Laurentia Smith for JCN News.
Minister of Transport and Member of Parliament for Bamboo Town, Renwood Wells, confirming that a document was leaked which indicates an extension of the emergency order for another 30 days. In a voice note to his constituents, the minister points a finger at the opposition for the leakage of the document. You'll remember that we reported that Attorney General Carl Bathel, just before the weekly cabinet meeting on Tuesday, told reporters that the 24-hour lockdown may be extended with the advice of medical personnel. However, he said it would be debated in the House of Assembly on Monday. Minister Wells explains.
The House of Assembly is meeting on Monday, the 30th. The order initially called for 14 days, but the law gives the government the right to be able to extend that 14 days to a further 30 days, and then after that 30 days is up, to extend the order another 30 days, if I remembered correctly, for a total of 74 days. Okay? Not that the government will do that, but the government could do that. But in order for that to happen, before the first 14 days is up, the government has to come to the House of Assembly and debate the issue or pass a resolution extending the 14 days to a further 30 days. That has not yet been done.
Mr. Wells says before the first 14-day expires, the government has to debate the issue extending the order. Therefore, the government meets on the 13th day of the first order, which is the 30th of this month. He says the government will follow the advice of medical personnel and look at COVID-19 patterns around the world and in the country, and then make a decision based on their assessment. Atlantis, the largest private employer in the Bahamas with more than 7,000 employed, has announced that it will close its doors completely for approximately 9 weeks due to the COVID-19 global pandemic. Just last week, the mega resort advised employees by way of a letter that they would be temporarily laid off for 4 weeks. Well, in a letter yesterday, President and Managing Director Audrey Oswell informed staff that the closure that took effect yesterday at 3 p.m. will run through Friday, May 15th, and says at that time, resort executives will assess the situation and make a determination on the reopening of the resort. Adding that recognizing the burden that the closure places on everyone, the resort is working on a plan to assist employees during this difficult time. In a press release, Ms. Oswell says they have been navigating the current situation, COVID-19, minute by minute, day by day, adjusting as they learn more, and one thing remains constant is that nothing matters more than the health, safety, and well-being of its team members, guests, and communities. Former Chief Medical Officer Dr. Glenn Benaby shared information and practical advice on the current situation COVID-19 in the Bahamas yesterday while appearing as a guest on Love 97's daily talk show Issues of the Day. CEO and host Wendell Jones sat down with Dr. Benaby and asked him some of the burning questions that have been on the minds of many since the crisis was declared a global pandemic. It is already known that the Bahamas is on a nationwide 24-hour curfew, with Attorney General Carl Bathel stating that there is a possibility that the curfew could be extended to the end of April. Well, Dr. Benaby stated that this decision cannot be made right now.
Of March. We're speaking now, the 31st of March is a week or more away. That decision will have to be made on the 31st of March. So
it shouldn't be made now.
It shouldn't be made now. So it cannot be premature. Let us not be premature in our judgment. Let us do what needs to be done, do it right, and look at the results coming out of the work that's being done. The healthcare, Ministry of Health and their team, let them have the privilege of making a decision based on the facts. I said before, I stress, evidence-based. This is not how I feel about it. It is how it actually is. And until you can demonstrate that, you cannot make.
It has also been a concern on whether fruits and vegetables can carry the COVID-19 virus.
Special benefits for so doing. The other question you asked about fruits and the virus being on fruits, I said before earlier that the animal is the host of the virus, not fruits. Actually, fruits tend to be a deterrent to this virus to a certain extent, because if you drink lime juice, lime water, and indeed one of the treatments for the virus is to cut up lime, ginger, and garlic and heat them on the stove and inhale the fumes from it, and it tends to kill the virus. So fruits really is not something that is positive to the virus. Of course, if you have it on the outside of the fruit and you mishandle it and you have it on your hand, the possibility exists that it can be transformed.
Dr. Benaby said in order to protect one's self from COVID-19 and from many other diseases, one should eat a balanced diet, exercise, avoid white sugar, drink plenty of water, and get lots of sunlight and air. Dr. Benaby said that being in an air-conditioned room can possibly increase the rate of the infection of COVID-19, and it would be better to be a ventilated room. You're watching JCN News. Stay with us.
This segment of the news was brought to you by Alive.